As a kid, you know, I just grew up with it. Used to go to Speedway all the time, watch it at Bagger Park. I crewed for a bloke in a speed car, and I got a drive when I was about 13 years old in a speed car. And I will never ever forget the feeling that I got driving that car. It was unbelievable. I still today remember that race, and that's what got me into racing Speedway. I was pretty lucky where I finished up with a place called Industrial Services Pre-Cyclone, where they had a TQ in the place, so I knew what I was looking for. Went up to my boss and I said to him, if I get that TQ going, can I race it? And he said, mate, if you get that going, she's all yours, you can do what you like.
Grew up with it, like we went Mum took us when we were kids, and Dad was always racing. Every weekend was down at Northline Speedway racing. Just sort of grew up and watched sprint cars and thought they were pretty cool. Besides rolling down the hill and playing with other kids, the sprint cars were awesome, and that's what you always inspired to do. They were pretty scary back then, but they still are now. But as a kid, they were pretty daunting. That's where I went from there. He said, oh, I'll build you a car, but you've got to be there 100% of the way. And this is where we are now.
Ford part of me came along when I built myself a Ford Cortina and raced that quite successfully. I actually indulged in racing a XY Falcon, GT Falcon for a mob at the same time, and I always had Ford cars. So yeah, that was a pretty good deal there.
It's good having him back after all these years so he can get a grip of what it's been like away for so long, because the cars have changed a bit, and he's always growled me while he's been crew chiefing for me on how easy it should be and what I should be doing, and he's come back and he's having a good crack at it now. He's pretty impressive for the amount of time he's had off. He's gone on it like he's been riding a bike.
I really came back to have some fun more than anything, but it's been good with Jason. We actually haven't seen much of each other with our racing, even though we've been racing together sort of thing. But yeah, it's been good.
It's been probably a bit more eye-opening, more than anything, a lot more work, but a bit more joyful but careful at the same time. At the end of the day, like, you can have fun and talk about it after, but it's also a bit of a worry. If you go try to put a move on, you've got to make sure you're going to do it properly, otherwise you're going to have two wrecked cars and a grumpy dad.
Yeah, my very first sprint car was the ex-Gary Rush sprint car. I think it was Anderson's. It was the first imported sprint car to Australia. I bought that off a local up here and decked it out and started racing that. Bobby Blacklaw was one of the guys that really stood out with me because, you know, I'd read so much about him, because you don't see them guys. I'd read so much about him in Speedway magazines and that sort of stuff. He wasn't really an idol, but he was a big name when he came to Darwin. I finished up beating him quite successfully, and I actually had a lot of fun with Bobby Blacklaw because, you know, he thought he was coming to some hick town, and we kicked their ass a bit.
My old man's taught me how to build cars and race them as well, and Eakins has been more of a motivational and got me thinking a lot more. He's very influential on the car. He definitely knows what he does. He's the most aggressive racer I've ever seen. He's very impressive when he's on his game. He thinks about everything, and he opens your eyes to a lot of things that you don't normally think about.
360s in Darwin are very strong at the moment, mainly because a lot of the 360 guys like what they're doing.
I actually found the 410s were easier to drive purely by the passing, because the motors overtook the car instead of the cars in 360s where the cars pretty much ruled the motor, where you had to be very smooth and plan how you pass. Where 410s, you always had the power under your foot to do it. As soon as an opportunity came up, you just planted it and went for it. So starting with a smaller class, I reckon, was more beneficial. It taught you to be a lot more smoother, a lot more careful, planned a lot more with traffic, and that really played out in 410s. So if you get too aggressive in 410s, you can fall on your lid pretty quick. It's just you against 20 other guys. It's the most powerful car you can pretty much get. On dirt, sideways, open wheel. You've got to be so careful, but it's so intense at the same time. and it's more passing than you can probably do on any bitumen track. I love the dirt on any type of dirt type stuff, and sprint cars are the most intense form, and they're just flat out.
The Darwin track is a really, really good track. It's got plenty of momentum. It's fast. There's no problems about not being fast.
You can make something happen on it. It's a small track, but it's very fast, which works good for sprint cars because the cars are built for speed. Any track you can pass heaps on is always a good track.
I know I'm a local boy, but Darwin will shit all over anything down south.
We suffer a lot racing locally here in Darwin because generally it is tacky, and we go down south, especially when they start kicking off in summertime, a lot of slick tracks. Northerners struggle a fair bit on the slicker stuff because we just don't get slick time. I study a lot on how to race on the slick stuff. Sometimes I'll go down the track in past years where the track is really off and just do laps and just get some time on a really crappy surface pretty much just to adapt to it. I think a lot about it when I go down south, how the track changes so much compared to up here. I'm normally on the ball pretty much. It's not too many nights I'm off the game. So we'd only race so many times. I make sure I'm going to be on the job when I hit the track.
Funny thing, when I raced, we used to sit in the 60-litre drum. It was extremely uncomfortable in my car, I can tell you that right now. When I decided to come back racing, I thought the first thing I'm going to do is going to buy myself a really, really good seat. When that becomes uncomfortable, I'll most probably call it a day. So we'll just see how far we go with it.
Unfortunately, we've got that thing called life, and we have to have a day job like everybody else. Of course, I want to race as much as I can, travel and go do all the big races and see how far I can go with it. Not all my life. No, I don't know any real sprint car driver that have made a decent living out of sprint cars, but it's my hobby, and I choose that. And I want to take it as far as I can, but life comes first.